after going through various heart-rending relationships with clients, it dawned on me, hey, why the hell am I not applying this to client relationships as well? So I started looking and digging a little bit more, and then aligned the 5 love languages to client relations or client acquisition. So it helps you to figure out not just how to relate to your existing clients, but also how to capture your ideal client. I got goosebumps.
I know. That's just freaking brilliant.
I got my own goosebumps from myself.
Good. Welcome to Too Legitimate to Quit, instantly actionable small business strategies with a pop culture spin. I am your host, Annie P. Ruggles, and my guest today is the powerhouse, Anika Repole Wilson. Anika is the managing director of Chic Digital, a boutique digital marketing agency. Well known for her out-of-the-box thinking and personal approach, she has earned the moniker of Strategy Maverick over the years. Anika is a hub of knowledge and experience, having worked with over 50 brands, small to large, in the last 15 years. She is a think tank of big ideas with the execution plan built in, and she holds the honor for being the first TLTQ guest to make me cry on the podcast. Anika, my single favorite Jamaican. What do small business owners need to focus on this week?
This week, I think that small business owners would benefit from better understanding their compatibility with potential clients.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, that seems totally obvious, but I know that in practice, it's entirely not, right? Because I think a lot of the time we get pulled into like, the most important thing that you need to know about your client is this.
Yeah.
And even if that's valuable, we don't actually think about whether or not we're compatible to that. Tell me more about that. I love that word, compatible.
I mean, compatibility is crucial in any relationship. That's number one. But here's the thing. So a little background. One of my first jobs was in customer service.
Oh,
and you tend to hear the saying that the customer is always right. And you need to be very mindful of your customers' needs. And I was really good at client relations, and I was sought after for it. And, you anticipate the client's needs and so forth. But when you start your own business, and when you are trying to scale, and when you are trying to survive the day, with trial and error, you find out that some clients are just not for you.
Amen. That also reminded me of one of our previous conversations where we talked about that customer service role.
Uh-huh.
And correct me if I'm wrong, they made you do an American accent for that.
Oh my
role.
God, yes.
And
I thought we weren't going there.
Oh, we're going there. Didn't they make you use the name like Michelle or something? What was your
I think it was Mandy. That was the name. Mandy was my telemarketing name.
Yeah. Could you give us just one sentence of Mandy's voice?
No, Addie. I'd probably get my Jamaican card revoked. It's too good. It's too good.
Mandy, I'm sorry.
Mandy retired.
Mandy is retired. But just know that we got a little glimpse of it when you were talking before. You went a little bit into Mandy, but just listeners, I'm sorry to keep you on the outside. I have heard full Mandy, and full Mandy is damn convincing. But even then, like, you know, there's something to be said for that too. Is like, what a weird way to come at compatibility. I'm sure that there's some thing about everybody loving their own accent the most. I think we all kind of sound like beautiful hyenas, but like, I don't know what the psychology of that is. But even that, like, what a weird fake way to come about
I know,
like compatibility.
And to some extent, even in the Caribbean, it's still, I don't know if it's taught, but by default, when you pick up a customer service rep, they have an accent. There's an accent. So,
well, and yours is like American Southern, which I also really enjoy.
I've heard that. I would also hear that I have an uptown Jamaican accent, but it varies. But I mean, Jamaica itself,
uptown
like
Jamaica,
oh my God,
Southtown USA. All right, all right.
But it varies. It varies depending on where you go in the country. Anyway, just like anywhere else, we all have different accents.
But before I derail us entirely into Mandy. I think so many people are terrified of something that you just said, which is that not all customers are for you, because it's really hard and scary to turn down money.
Oh gosh, especially when you're starting out.
Yes.
There's this need to pay bills, and you prioritize that over your own well-being in many ways. And then you end up biting the bullet, and you end up getting yourself in trouble and realizing the really hard way that shit, I should not have taken on that client.
No. Right? Because
especially
then
in the service industry, as coaches,
right,
as solopreneurs, it's a big challenge.
Doing heart-centered work for somebody you don't like,
oh my gosh,
sucks.
Yeah.
It just freaking sucks.
Exactly.
Even if the money is great, and especially if the money is great.
Yeah. Or when you don't feel valued as well. So it's almost equivalent. It's almost the equivalent. They could be a great person. I've had experiences where I know that I would want to hang out with this person. I want them to be my friend. Like that we'd be best friends, but I cannot work with them.
No.
But I end up finding out about that much later on too.
I mean, I've also had, to your point, I've had incredible people hire me, and they turn out to be god awful clients.
Yep.
Doesn't happen often, but it happens. And those are the days when you know that your boundaries are being tested. Nothing will show you a hole in a boundary more than a takey client. Or, you know what's even worse than the takey clients? The people who seem totally motivated at the beginning and then need to literally be dragged through the process.
And that's the thing. That's where the compatibility comes into play, because if you are aware of what your needs are as the service provider, if you are aware of where your priorities lie and how you prefer to deal with client relations, then you will be better equipped with choosing the right client for yourself.
Yes.
And not overextending yourself in the process.
Ooh, I love that point. I love that point.
If you know that you're not the hand-holding client, I mean the hand-holding coach, then you shouldn't be taking on clients who are going to need their hands held.
No.
Yeah. And a lot of the time you don't know that at the get-go.
You don't know that at the get-go, but there are warning signs.
There are warning signs. There's certainly warning signs.
And the more you do whatever you're doing, you'll know, and then you can start incorporating that into your processes. Because the other thing is, we don't want to turn people away empty-handed. Number one, we don't want to turn away money because money is hard to turn away.
Yeah.
Number two, though, we don't want to be the dick that's like, sorry, don't want to work with you. Like, we don't want to do that. But you also don't have to walk away empty-handed. You can give them a resource list. You can refer them to somebody else. You can do all of these other things. But, you know, it is definitely a muscle that you build and hone, or an instinct that you hone of like, we are not a fit here.
Exactly. And, you know, the funny thing is, and you just said it, like, you don't want them to walk away empty-handed and you want them to probably have a resource list, what I've started doing is even talking with my colleagues to figure out what their love languages are. So that if I need to refer someone to somebody else because I'm not compatible, I know who to send them to.
So you brought up today's hidden message, and I am, or hidden message, it's not a hidden message. Today's special guest, the love languages, which not only will it revolutionize relationships, you were the first person that pointed out to me, because we're buds, how valuable it can be in business. And since then, I cannot stop thinking about my clients in terms of freaking love languages. And I teach the 4 buyer types. That's like emotional to detail and everything in between. But when you add that extra layer that we're going to talk about today of really looking at your prospects' love languages.
Yep.
Tell me more. Tell me more. Take us to church.
Well, here's the thing. There's when you're talking about the prospects and you're talking about existing clients as well, there are ways that, for example, so let's give it a little context. So for folks who aren't aware of the love languages.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much.
They were created by Gary Chapman, and they're a great tool to figure out compatibility with lovers, romantic relationships. For me, I have always kind of applied them to friendships as well. And then after going through various heart-rending relationships with clients, it dawned on me, hey, why the hell am I not applying this to client relationships as well? So I started looking and digging a little bit more, and then aligned the 5 love languages to client relations or client acquisition. So it helps you to figure out not just how to relate to your existing clients, but also how to capture your ideal clients. I got goosebumps.
I know. That's just freaking brilliant.
I got my own goosebumps from myself.
Good. I am glad. Everyone is welcome to give themselves goosebumps. Good for you. That means that you are in your lane of genius. Good for you.
I unlocked a level.
Yes, you did. You're like, damn. I do that sometimes when I listen back to like my interviews on other people's podcasts. Is I'll say something and I'll be like, that was genius. Who said that? Me? Right? Like it happens. We have to celebrate our best moments, y'all. We certainly mourn our worst ones.
Oh, yeah.
But so the 5 love languages as outlined in the original book are words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, gift giving, and
acts of service.
Oh my God, I just forgot.
That's the one that a lot of people they forget about it for some reason.
That's my husband's predominant love language, and I just forgot.
That's mine too.
What does it say that I just forgot Ryan's predominant love language? That's a podcast for a different day, right? But you know what's really interesting though is that we like the way that you receive and the way that you give can be really similar. But I didn't notice until I started talking to you about this that my personal love languages and my business love languages are very similar, but they are not the same.
Exactly. That's a really good insight right there. They're very similar, but they're not exactly the same.
But you said your predominant is acts of service.
My predominant is acts of service. It's also words of affirmation and quality time. But therein lies the difference with the clients and with personal, because the quality time is still very valuable to me, but I have to also be very mindful of my own boundaries.
Right.
Because I will overextend myself.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think all of us would overextend in every single possibility when we look at it as a love language, right? That's one of the things that knocks you out. It's like, Ryan really loves acts of service. And so if I do the dishes, he sees that as an act of love.
Right.
I really love quality time. So if I don't do the dishes so we can watch a movie together, then that for me, and and that's how we sometimes come in to conflict in that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
But that's that compatibility that you're talking
Exactly.
about. It's not that like because he and I don't match, it's totally different. But the same thing with my clients. Quality time would definitely be my number one love language for my clients and in my business. I love
Right.
teaching group calls more than anything else in the world. I taught one today. It like fills my heart with song, how much I love them. But I also know because it's my freaking love language, like Ryan would clean this whole house in detriment to himself to try to show me love. I would spend every single freaking moment of my life with him to try to show him love. We're not firing the same love at each other there.
Right.
Similarly with my clients, I will give them every single second of my workday. I will make a 1 hour call, a 2 hour call, a 5 hour call in order to get in that quality time. But that's sacrificial of me. And they might not see, the client may not understand the importance of that quality time to me.
And they may not value it at all. That's the difference as well. And I can feel my spidey senses tingling about, like, maybe people are saying, well, how does personal touch, not physical touch, come into play? And that's the thing. Like, I flipped it into personal touch.
Yes.
So whereas you may also be heavy on the personal touch as well as the quality time. So therein lies your challenge of having to figure out where your boundaries lie. How much of that personal touch are you willing to give? Because you can give that same quality time in 1 hour, but you're willing to overextend yourself for that personal touch for 5 hours.
That's a perfect workaround.
Yeah.
It really is. Because I was like, physical touch. I mean, I guess it works for like massage therapists, but I was like, but most of us probably shouldn't touch.
No,
our
probably
clients. Not. Especially not in the same way that you would in a romantic relationship. Although, if that's right within your boundaries.
Well, it depends. It depends on what the work is.
Yeah. If you're a professional cuddler, you're making that work for you. Good for you.
Exactly.
But no, but I think that personal touch also takes the barrier away of needing to be in person. And now that we're recording this in May. It'll come out later in this summer, but like we're still coming off of this 15 years, feels like it, 15 months of severe COVID. Like here in the US, stuff is starting to cut down. In the Caribbean, it's still heating up. Like,
oh my gosh.
We're still in this.
We need to add a few more years.
Right? But we're still in this isolated place. And so shifting it to personal touch, no matter what your business is, all of us can be looking at the way to make people feel seen and safe and supported.
And the thing is, it's when you talk about the personal touch, if your client has the personal touch as one of their primary love languages, then they would really value if you engage with their social media channels.
Yes.
They love that. They would love if you popped up at their store, if you walked into their location, or you sent them a mail just out of the blue just to check upon them. They enjoy one-on-one coaching. Like, those are the ones who are going to go for the one-on-one coaching. They're probably not even interested in like a workshop, because that means that there are more people around. They want to be all up in your face.
Yep.
And they want that personal interface with you. Yeah. So
one of the easiest ways that I've incorporated words of affirmation, and I think it really matters, not for all people, but for the people whose love language in business or in life is in that words of affirmation way, is whether someone has ever paid me or not, whether they've gotten damn close to paying me or not, doesn't matter. If someone posts a win online, I congratulate them on that win. Well, and from a business standpoint, it reminds them I exist. So they're like, thank you for sharing in this joy with me. P.S. Can I get on your calendar? Ooh, that's nice. That's not why I'm doing it. But
Uh-huh.
it's so freaking easy when you see someone in your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed saying, I had a great workshop today, or I just got an amazing client, or I finished that certification I've been going for. It takes 1 second out of your day to
Mm-hmm.
be like, and genuinely, right? It doesn't, if it's not genuine, don't do it. But if you're excited for that person, type 2 words. Congratulations.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
all it takes.
And those folks who really are into words of affirmation, and this is a good hint for folks who are trying to recruit clients or acquire clients. Those folks, they need social proof. They
Yeah.
need testimonials.
Yeah.
They love data. So data is like
Yes.
one of their priorities. So if you are working with a client and you can give them KPIs for where they're going to be in the next 3 months after working with you, nice range, they appreciate that. That's how
Yes.
their brain works. They need to be affirmed. They need to be
Yes.
reassured.
Yes.
So those clients are the ones that need the words of affirmation.
Because they're checking the boxes in their brain going,
Exactly.
did I get this question answered? Yes. Did
Mm-hmm.
I get this question answered? Yes. And in sales, it's a lot about objection handling.
Yeah.
Was this objection handled before I had to ask it? If I did have to ask it, did I feel safe asking it?
Mm-hmm.
And if I did feel safe asking it, did I get an answer that satisfied me?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's when you break it down like this, it makes it a little easier when you just think about clients like any other relationship.
Why don't we? Why don't we? Is it because of the money?
I think it's because of the money, quite frankly. And then when you have your audience in particular, folks who are empaths, then everything kind of gets all bungled up in there and it's
Yeah.
confusing because you're working with the money and the money is a priority, but at the same time, you're like, oh, I need to give my heart.
Right.
And you're giving and giving and giving, but then you might be giving to the wrong people.
Or giving too much to the right ones.
Good point there, too. Yeah.
I've done
Exactly.
both.
Mm-hmm.
They both suck.
Yeah. Ditto. It's painful. It's painful, especially when you take it and you take it kind of personally.
Of course you do. To your point, it's a love language. If you are a heart-centered small business, which you have to be if you're listening to this maniac of a show, if you're a heart-centered small business, and I talk about this with sales avoidance all the time, you don't want to violate the person on the other end.
Exactly.
So what we do is we over-deliver, but because we're over-delivering love, when that love is not returned to us in a way that we see or understand or can quantify, it hurts.
Oh, yeah.
It's an imbalance. It is no different than dating someone who treats you like crap.
Yeah. And then it's funny because then you fall into this loop of, as Diane Wingert points
Our
out,
beloved.
love her. You fall into the loop of rejection sensitivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, rejection sensitivity. I feel like rejection sensitivity is my middle name. That's what the P stands for. Annie rejection sensitivity I just said Revels. My last name is Revels. Clearly you've blown my mind to the fact that I forgot my own name. But that's totally true. It does feel like a rejection. And so many of us try to force out the rejection that we can control, meaning we don't ask, so we don't sell, so that we don't get rejected, right? We don't hear that. No. But you're totally right that how we're projecting and how we're receiving does feel like a rejection no matter what. If we're trying to reach out to the wrong people, if we're not allowing ourselves to receive from the right people, and if we're not willing to discern the difference.
And it comes back to you being mindful of yourself and your own limits. Your own limits, your own desires, and just who you are in general.
Be mindful of your own desires.
Mm-hmm.
That just kicked me right in the stomach in a good way.
Yeah.
Right? Be mindful of your own limits is something that took me many, many years to come close to. And it's still a work in progress. I'm not there all the way. It's not perfect. but I'm not sure I ever act mindful with my desires.
Mm. Yeah, because if you are aware that you desire words of affirmation yourself, you want validation from your clients, then
Ugh.
you're going to go after clients who are going to give you that validation with great testimonials. They're going to sing your praises. They're going to refer you to their friends. And you can kind of spot those people from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of the times they themselves have been referred to you by somebody else because they value words of affirmation too.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten the social proof. Somebody gave them a testimonial.
Yeah.
And those are the ones, if that is your desire to be affirmed, to be validated, then you need to go after more of those clients.
And that's the same thing for one of the things that I've talked about a whole bunch is the easiest way to sell live coaching is through live coaching. The
Yep.
easiest way to sell group programming is through
Mm-hmm.
some kind of live group, right?
Yeah.
And that's your quality time angle. If quality
Yeah.
time is important to you, don't send them to a webinar.
Exactly.
If quality time is not that important to you, maybe a webinar is a-okay. But the thing is, I have a webinar funnel and I love it, but it can't be my only funnel. That'll drive me insane. I want FaceTime.
Yeah.
And I also know that for a lot of people, I'm an acquired taste that they're either going to want or not want.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to see if I'm right for them? They're going to come share quality time with me.
Exactly. And then you just touched on a point because the folks who love quality time, they're probably more into a live webinar than something that's pre-recorded.
Yep.
They don't feel valued at that point in time.
I think the other thing that's coming up for me that's really interesting because I send a lot of mail all over the world. Like I can tell you how expensive it is to to send a cowbell to Israel. Like I know how much because I've done it. But, this idea of there's a whole lot of like free gift in marketing, right? There's the freebie, the clickbait, the blah, blah, the opt-in.
But we're coming to the gift giving.
Right? The opt-in and all these things. I'm not saying you have to spend $1 billion on every single person. That gets freaking expensive. But if we're going to call something a free gift, can we make it feel like a fucking gift, please?
Oh, good point. Good point.
What do they actually need? What are we just vomiting content at them? And what would actually feel like a gift?
And then here's the issue that I have personally. Because it's become such a big practice now, where people, you sign up for this newsletter, you get this free, sign up for this, you get this free, sign up for this, you get this. It's I think in many ways it can potentially numb your audience.
Ooh, tell me more.
They become blind to what you can truly offer. And there's this sense of, well, if it's not free, if I don't get something right now, then, what's the next step? But here's the thing. The person who values gift giving, they actually won't take that for granted. That's the difference.
Right.
And that therein lies the problem. Because we're by nature in marketing, we're told, you need these lead magnets. You need to put this out. I myself have a few. But at the same time, you're probably attracting people who aren't aligned with gift giving. They just want the freeness.
Yeah, they just want to receive. They're not necessarily naturally givers attracted to giving.
Exactly.
They want to do what we talk about on the show all the time, which is sponge up all of your free stuff and treat you like a public library with your consent and then leave.
And they probably won't sign up again. But here's the thing that you can do to protect yourself is to set a cap. So if you have a freebie, you ensure that you are just setting a cap on that freebie. I'm not giving away more than 5 discovery calls this month.
Yep.
More than 10 downloads this week. However you want to frame it, you should still have some sort of cap on it, because then to those individuals who really don't see the value in it, then it gives them a little bit of FOMO where they will then in turn value it a little bit more.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And they don't
Like,
take it for granted.
I mean, nothing is more fun in just like a, oh, whoa, but also like, how are we going to handle this way? Than somebody that emails me like right after a countdown clock ran out.
Uh-huh.
And they were like,
Yeah.
I put it in my calendar and I thought you said 4:00, but I guess you said 2:00 and now I didn't get it. Does that really mean I don't get it? And I'm like, well, you can come next month. And they're like, damn it. But you better bet that they're there on time next month.
Yeah. I mean, FOMO actually gives me anxiety. So I'm very, very careful with that.
Right.
I don't like it at all. I personally don't like it as a marketing gimmick. But to the individuals whose love language is not aligned with the value of gift giving,
Yep.
those people need a little FOMO.
They could use a little
They
FOMO,
need
yes.
they need to fare that missing out factor, so they value you a little bit more and that free gift.
I mean, FOMO is why scarcity and urgency marketing exists.
Yeah.
If I'm not one of the first 10, I'll be one of the next 500.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't sign up by next Tuesday, I have to wait for a year. I mean, that's all FOMO based. All.
Exactly.
And to the shitty detriment in terms of like sleazy selling and marketing, that gets ratcheted up to make you feel like crap if you're experiencing that FOMO. Or you're scared if you don't experience it. But it can still be a sense of enjoyment to be like, hey, like I have a prize wheel. And at the end of each of my live workshops, I'm like, here's a prize wheel. Now, that again is not necessarily perfect for all people, but me as a gift giver, that's how I quantify doing exactly what you're talking about, which is setting a limit.
Exactly.
Right? Setting a cap. So if I spin the prize wheel at the end of my workshop and it says everybody gets a free 90-minute call with me, that's everybody that signs up in the next 72 hours as clearly dated in like indicated boundary.
Right. And it's mindful. And it comes back to that aspect of mindful marketing or mindful brand building versus manipulative.
Yeah.
So you're doing it with heart. You're being conscious of your potential clients or leads, their own love languages or their own appreciation languages, so that you know that you're not manipulating them.
You're being mindful of the client relationship.
Exactly.
To your original point, that is how you're doing that. You're looking at this person as a human being with their own desires, needs, fears, wants, and all of those things. And you're saying, where can I meet this person halfway? And is that a place I want to be?
Exactly. Yeah. And how can I make their life better? And how can they make my life more fulfilled?
You need to reach out to the Chapman estate because you know that book came out in 1998.
I know. They need to make a few updates.
They need to, not only do they need to make a few updates, they need to hire you to write the business version of the 5 love languages.
Well, y'all heard it here first.
Let's start a petition. Write it out. I mean, this is just brilliant. It feels so simple, but then when you sit in that idea, it feels revolutionary.
Can I tell you, I think it's just, and I mean, many people, when they start their business, and you'll hear this from other entrepreneurs that you don't know until you've gone through it,
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you can anticipate some of these pitfalls, and one of the biggest ones being choosing the proper client, the ideal client, it's not about making that target avatar, that target persona. We're talking about actually deciding who you want to work with, and you can be mindful of it, conscious of it, and manifest it. Then it saves you so much time and so much heartache.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless on my own show.
That's a good thing.
It's an amazing thing because normally I talk way too damn much, but ooh, I'm speechless.
Oh, well, thank you, Annie.
No, but you're right. It's compatibility. It's boundaries. It's going beyond avatar. I don't want to just work. And this literally never occurred to me. I'm sitting here looking at how I'm going to shape my offering into a membership. And I thought I knew, and I did know everything about these people.
Yeah.
everything, the kind of businesses they run, what's important to them. It never occurred to me that because we are a call-based thing,
Mm-hmm.
I have to be looking for people whose love language is quality time
Ah, yep.
or a little bit of words of affirmation. Like, how eye-opening is that? That changes everything. That changes my copy. That changes my
Mm-hmm.
emails. That changes my social. That literally changes everything, to the point where right now I could go out and be like, hey, if your love language is quality time, this network is for you.
Exactly. Exactly. And this whole thing came about not just from these experiences with clients, but also being um very aware of my own mental health.
Thank you. Thank you for being
Yeah.
aware of your own mental health. I want to get back to that, but not before we normalize the fact that your mental health is
Mm-hmm.
your most important asset as a small
Mm-hmm.
business owner.
Oh
If you
yeah.
don't have or prioritize your mental health, you have freaking nothing. Please continue. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just really want to
No,
normalize
no, I'm with you.
hard.
I am with you. And that's the thing. It comes down to being aware and I don't want to say mindful again, but it keeps coming up. But
Mindful.
be mindful of your own mental health because, and let me extend that even further for mental wellness.
Yes.
So I have always been a mental health advocate, having struggled with, and let me reframe that, having survived and thrived. That's what I've started saying. Having survived and thrived with depression and anxiety since my teens,
Me too, boo.
that I have had to find a way to incorporate and nurture my mental wellness as an entrepreneur with how I work with clients. And I have found that not choosing the right client for me, whom I'm compatible with, does a number on my mental
Amen.
health. Mhm.
Hallelujah. Say it again for the people in the back. Oh my God. That is, I mean, I have OCD,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm thriving and alive in with OCD. Some days are
Yeah.
harder than others. I've had the same history of anxiety and depression since a teen as you have, maybe even younger,
Mm-hmm.
depending on when I caught wise to it, right? But like, the first person that will abuse my mental wellness is me.
Oh, oh gosh, we are
But,
horrible to ourselves.
but
Mm-hmm.
I could totally name past clients who have abused the crap out of my mental wellness. And here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing, they did it because I let them,
There we
but I
go.
wasn't being responsible. First thing was
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't aware of my mental wellness and the effect that it had. And to some
Mm-hmm.
degree, I'm still not. I see it after the fact, right? We always see it in hindsight.
Always in hindsight.
But I feel like now that I know myself better, I'm able to be more responsible in my business
Mm-hmm.
toward and for the benefit and sustainment of my mental wellness.
Yep. Yep.
I'm
That's what it
so
comes down to.
thrilled and grateful that you brought that up, because if anything else, I want this to be a platform that normalizes that entrepreneurship is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And running a business when you have any kind of mental or emotional challenge intensifies that hard, but that doesn't mean that you can't have it all. You can have a thriving business while you're dealing with your emotional stuff yourself. You can take time off your business to
Mm-hmm.
prioritize your mental wellness. All of these things are important, but without mental wellness, your business has no foundation.
And then when you take that up a notch and you realize that you can go after clients who nurture your mental wellness.
I think I can safely say right now, and I'm going to like cry. Shout out to everybody. I think this might be the first time I might cry on my own podcast. Before I was speechless, and now I might cry. Like, every single client that I currently have
Mm-hmm.
feeds and fosters my mental wellness.
That is beautiful.
It is
That's
the
incredible.
luckiest, most fortunate thing I could possibly say. But here's the thing, I have to give myself credit for that.
Definitely.
That is of my making. That is not an accident. Even the stuff that I manifested with manifestation work.
Yep.
Right? Like, I have clients right now that light me up because I have set boundaries that exclude the people that don't. And I've also prioritized giving my gifts, giving my love to the people that do fulfill me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Do you ever just blow your own mind? Like, do you ever just listen to yourself and you're like, Anika, I am the smartest person I've ever seen?
I've had a few moments like that.
Good. Well, the next time you need words of affirmation, you just call your girl, aka me. Of course. And I'm going to be like, by the way, you're a genius. By the way, you made me cry on my podcast. By the way, you made me speechless on the same episode about 5 minutes before.
Oh my gosh, Addie.
I just feel like I can breathe.
And that I think in essence is what every entrepreneur, solopreneur truly desires. It's not so much, everybody wants success, but you want that room to just be and breathe. Yeah. And you want time. So if you are overextending yourself because you think that your ideal client is this person, but you're not happy, then what's the point?
Right.
There's no point.
If you're an acts of service person and you're given bonuses of your time, energy, effort, and money to people that are not acts of service people, they're going to be like, cool, more free shit.
But let's talk about how toxic it is around the fact that for me as a coach, one of my love languages is that quality time and the acts of service. And I thrive in live coaching or one-on-one. But the industry tells me that I need to make my business more scalable by creating a little bit more of that impersonal approach. So I need to do more recordings. I need to do more of this. Right. I need to do more of that. And it's all well and good. But if I can scale it, if I can create a business model that truly is an extension of my brand, myself, my love languages, so that when somebody comes into a course with me, they have at least 1 or 2 live calls with me versus it's all pre-recorded, then that's me. I don't have to go after everybody. You have to go after the right people. You have to build your tribe.
Build your tribe. This has been an unfreaking forgettable conversation. Like, I've had every possible emotion. I've cried twice. I'm just a mess. It's been like 40 minutes and I'm like, run the gamut. Like, I'm going to sleep like a kid after a water park after this episode because I have been through it all. And listen, I will start the petition. You got to write this book. You got to write this book.
Okay.
The Chapman estate, hear me. Don't write it yourself. Hire her. She's infinitely going to be better at this.
I'm available.
Right? She's available. She's here. And that's a great segue. So what is the best way for all the other people that are just madly in love with you and your love languages at this point? What's the best way for them to start a conversation with you?
Well, I would tell you, number one, you want to check out this blog that I wrote about the love languages and client relationships.
It'll be in the show notes.
You can check it out at AnikaRepolWilson.com. And I have a little special freebie for
a gift.
A gift. So I have a questionnaire that will help you to figure out your client love language.
I mean, what a phenomenal gift. That's all I can say about that.
It's a little short questionnaire that you can personalize and make it your own. And you can probably use it to reflect on your own personal love languages and how you want to scale your own offerings. But it's all available on my website.
Anika, my friend, I love you. You are a gift in my life. I'm so thrilled that I got to share you with our listeners today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Annie. I love you too.
Everybody else, I'm going to take a deep breath, cry a little, and be back in a second with my final thoughts and your homework for this week. Hey there, listeners. Right off the bat, the first part of your homework is to take Anika's free guide to determine your client's love language. That is a 10 out of 10 must do. Why? Because as I mentioned in this episode, we are constantly being led to go out and find more new people. Fill the pipeline, cram them into your funnel, blow up your social media metrics, etc., etc. How many new eyes can you dazzle today? And listen, that's important. It really is. But we only have so much time, energy, and social media patience. We are brilliant but limited resources. And all those, hi, nice to meet you, please enjoy this crash course into my brain activities have a tendency to steal oxygen from the people who have already invested in us. Maybe we load up our prospects or brand new clients with gifts and extra favors, but have let long-term relationships erode over time. Maybe your clients have graduated from you and never heard from you again. Maybe your affiliates, your collaborators, even your VIP red carpet clients feel a little neglected. So this week, I beg you to send thank you notes or thank you gestures, depending on the love languages at play. If you are grateful for their business or support and they are words of affirmation people, tell them in no uncertain terms. If a client has been noticeably absent where they used to be your star front row student, reach out and offer a little one-on-one time. You'll know what to do. They are your adoring clients after all, but there's a good chance they may need you now more than ever. It's not about selling. You don't have to worry about re-enrollment. It's about connection, service, and love. And I would be intensely hypocritical if I didn't just stop here and say, thank you so much for listening, sharing, and reviewing this podcast. I absolutely love you for it. Too Legitimate to Quit is brought to you by the Non-Sleazy Sales Academy and me, Annie P. Ruggles. What if you never had to sell alone again? If you always felt safe and seen and supported in selling situations because you only had to show up as your best and also most ordinary self? You can profit just by being you without one gimmick, 1 inch of sleaze. To find out more about our membership, visit www.nonsleazy.com. That's NONSLEAZY.com. Too Legitimate to Quit is written and hosted by me, Annie Passanisi Ruggles. Our editor and producer is Andrew Sims of Hypable. Our incredible earworm of a theme tune was composed and performed by Riley Horbasio. Our beautiful show art is by Francois Vigneault, and my beautiful, wonderful, amazing creative director, Georgia Curran, handles my social media accounts with care. Listen, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how your homework is going, what you think of the show, or what topics you'd love to see covered here. Feel free to reach out to me on any platform with messaging, but the best for me are LinkedIn, where you'll find me under my name, Annie P. Ruggles, or on Instagram, where you'll find me at Anniepreneur. And please don't forget to send this show to people that you think would benefit, or to drop us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. That really helps our show grow. Until next week, remember, you're too legit to quit.